Are you ready?
Agility from the champion. Oh, deep six! That could be it. Delivered this deep six.
Joe, how you doing?
Oh, what a day to ask that question, Wayne.
I don't know how to really open a show like this, or I can't. It's kind of hard for me to put what happened today, these past couple days, into words.
Yeah.
But you know, um, on kind of short notice, we wanted to kind of put this together and kind of just shoot from the hip a little bit, from the heart, and whatever comes to mind here. But let's
well, I will say this, Wayne, as part of the Aftermath community, we are like a very small part of the overall wrestling community, but it's times like this where I think that wrestlers give their bodies, their lives to this community, to this art, right? And there are some who really take the art to that next level. And when things like what we're going to be reporting on today happen, it's something where it's important to pause and be able to appreciate the true artists who really put everything into their art form. And we're the ones who get to benefit from it because we get to enjoy it. And it brings us together in terms of celebrating their work. And I will say that, it makes me appreciate everybody that's a part of the wrestling community, to be able to be entertained for so long, a lifelong fan, to be able to be entertained by, a simple concept as professional wrestling,
Yeah.
But with that all said, it's hard to, when we have bad news to report on. So,
For those of you guys that are watching and listening, just even while you're, watching this show and we're talking about Bray Wyatt a little bit, text a friend, text a loved one. Just listen. Let's be real. Let's just let them know that you love them. You're thinking of them. How you doing? Just check on the people that you haven't spoken to in a while. You just never know. We're not guaranteed tomorrow. We're not guaranteed an hour from now. We're not guaranteed a minute from now. And so just, take this time just to really reach out to somebody, this, whether it be tonight or, as soon as you can, just, reach out to your loved ones and just be more intentional. That's all. That's really all I got to say. We're just never guaranteed another day. For one reason or another. But today is a little bit of a rough one for sure. So, I mean, my head is kind of somewhat been buried in the sand recently, not too much, just with a lot going on. And I got a text around 7 o'clock tonight about the passing of Bray Wyatt. And it just kind of came out of nowhere. And we knew he was struggling with health issues this year. We didn't know the severity of it. And it was reported recently that Bray Wyatt was doing very well. He was ready to come back to the ring. There had been no storyline or script for him made just yet, but we were finding out that September was probably the soft date time frame for him to come back. So that being said, I mean, we even thought he was going to come back at SummerSlam. But anyhow, Oh no, this comes to a shock because we knew that he was doing better. He was doing a lot better, and he was ready to be back soon. So that's kind of just what makes all this such a shock to the wrestling world. And you know, when you're invested in these characters for such a long time, it becomes a part of you, so to speak.
Yeah.
It becomes a part of you. These the talent that we've lost over the years, your Eddie Guerreros, your Owen Harts, they when you're invested in what they do from week to week, they become a part of you. And when something bad happens, you feel it. Especially if you've lost close friends over the years and family. Like I lost my mom early this year.
Yeah.
Um, and you kind of feel it when you hear news like this. So this came to a shock. This is the tweets that Triple H sent out, and then from there, the Twitter world just blew up. News spread like wildfire, basically within minutes. But Triple H, Triple H tweets out, just received a call from WWE Hall of Fame Mike Rotunda. That would be his dad, who informed us of the tragic news that our WWE family member for life, Wyndham Rotunda, also known as Bray Wyatt, unexpectedly passed earlier today. Our thoughts are with this family, and we ask that everyone respect their privacy at this time. So that was the tweet heard and read around the world. Um, like I said, caught me by surprise. I didn't see this coming. It's been about 3 hours now. I still really don't have the words to say. Like I just can't. I personally just cannot. You know, it's mind blowing. Somebody
Yeah.
36 years old. He's about to be married to JoJo eventually. Couple kids, and such a young age. It was confirmed not right away that he did have a heart attack. Um, it could have been triggered uh, from the illness that he had months prior. Um, there's no confirmation that the two worked hand in hand, or if the illness exacerbated or weakened his heart at some point. We don't know, and we can't make assumptions. It's not our place to make assumptions.
Yeah.
But we do know the facts that he did have a heart attack today and went suddenly. Um, so that caught me by surprise. Joe, yeah, your
Yeah.
thoughts? What was your initial reaction when this happened?
So I hadn't heard anything until you had texted me, and so uh, immediately I thought that, you know, like I said earlier, that he was one of the artists, like a true artist who owned the content that he created. And yes, he was a very talented professional wrestler. Like between just the way that he would be able to move around in the ring for a bigger guy, and you think back to what we do know about his career and the legacy that he does leave behind now. Multi world champion, leader of the Wyatt family, uh, evolving every single time that he comes back, and just being able to perform at the level that he was able to perform at in a time where performers like that weren't being pushed to the extent that I know that he could have gone um, in today's era. And it's just one of those things where it's like, what could have been had we had more time, had we had Bray Wyatt, as creative as he is, being able to really let loose with everything that he's able to produce. You have Triple H going on record of talking about how creative he is, uh, and how you have all the performers who's performed with him talk about how awesome it is to wrestle against him. being able to produce matches that we can look back at and say, wow, those are really great matches. He was at one point being booked as the new face of fear, ushering out the Undertaker and ushering in, a version of Bray Wyatt that they wanted to kind of take that mantle of being the face of fear, and then of course you bringing in a character like, the was it Firehouse Funhouse or whatever, Firefly Funhouse, and the Fiend, and that's adding another layer that we hadn't seen before, right? And then we see the Fiend Bray Wyatt's debut squashing Finn Balor, right? Uh, that just set him again in another direction where now we're gonna give the Fiend Bray Wyatt 2 Universal Championship reigns. It's sad that someone with so much potential is gone so soon. Taken away from a community that that loved and adored him.
Bray Wyatt was a special character. A character at that magnitude that has not been created in WWE in a very long time, since the 90s. Bray Wyatt is probably the best character created that we've seen since The Undertaker.
Yeah. Or I could argue since Kane,
Since Kane. That's fine too. Just off the top of my head, really.
Right, of course. Yeah. But to be, like in the same conversation as some of these guys, as some of these characters, it's like really this generation had their Bray Wyatt.
Yeah. He was a standout character, absolutely. The sky was the limit for him.
Yeah.
There were too many times that Vince McMahon had his hands on this, because the moment that he realized that he had something with the Fiend, he had to get involved, get his fingerprints on it, and that caused a lot of bad booking decisions with Bray Wyatt.
Sure.
But other than that, a lot of his Bray Wyatt character, the Fiend idea, the Playhouse, the Firefly, the Firefly Fly Funhouse, that was all Bray Wyatt's idea.
Yeah.
And a lot of what Bray Wyatt created was pretty awesome. I mean,
yeah,
whether it was good or whether it was bad, stuff like WrestleMania 33, I mean, with the worms flashing in the ring,
right.
I wouldn't say that was great, but did it leave a lasting impression? Absolutely, because you'll always remember that. You'll always remember the Firefly Funhouse. You'll always remember the stuff that he did with Randy Orton, or his debut. His debut just had you with the Wyatt family, just had you captivated. And because this is a new character, Bray Wyatt coming out with a character similar to Waylon Mercy from back in '95, and that sinister, maniacal, like evil, like persona that he had, his mannerisms, everything that he did with the detail, between the entrances that he's done over the years, the Fireflies, everything that was attached to Bray Wyatt creatively had you captivated. He knew how to captivate a crowd. His mannerisms, his in-ring movements, the stuff that he did with as the Fiend.
Yeah.
It had you captivated, especially his SummerSlam debut that we can never forget, which I think was like 4 or 5 years now.
Yeah, something like that.
And his debut had the whole wrestling world captivated. Like
the whole build up.
Just go back and watch his first reveal in SummerSlam. And I think that match was against Finn Balor. I'm not sure.
It was against. Yeah, he squashed Finn Balor.
But that reveal that and the fans' reaction to that, like he was built and he had a rocket ship strapped to his back immediately. And of course, Vince McMahon had to get in his own way with booking decisions and with the whole red cage thing and the red light. And I was like, whatever. I didn't mind it. Many
Yeah.
fans did. But like I said, whether it's good or bad, everything that Bray Wyatt has done, um, always memorable.
Yeah.
He left a lot of um, he left a lot of memories, and that was just because of his creative talent. Very very creative, and his entrances. I mean, you had the pitch the um, Mountain Dew pitch black match against L.A. Knight.
That was his last match, right? And it was a Royal Rumble.
Yes, yep.
Yeah.
And
So the last thing that we
made
saw was Uncle Howdy. Like, didn't he choke slam Bray
LA,
Wyatt?
no. Bray Wyatt chokeslam L.A. Knight.
Oh, Bray Wyatt choke slammed LA Knight.
L.A. Knight basically just about jobbed out that entire match.
Yeah. And then, didn't Uncle Howdy like jump off?
Yes. Yeah.
That's
Uncle
what I
Howdy
remember.
showed up and jumped off. Yeah. So even whether people say that was good or whether it was bad, it was still a lasting impression. And just imagine how L.A. Knight might be feeling right now, knowing that he had the last match,
Yeah,
and last TV appearance with Bray Wyatt, because it wasn't really too far after that. Maybe a few short weeks later, Bray Wyatt had to go out on leave and to deal with COVID-related stuff.
right.
Which Bray Wyatt seemingly got past and was ready to come back.
Right.
We got a couple rest in peace Bray Wyatt comments here. Today, such a crazy day. An immense talent with unlimited potential, sadly gone. You're right, Mike. He had so much potential. There was a lot. Let's just say there was a lot of stuff to a lot of work to be done. And there were a lot of ideas, and those ideas got pretty much squashed around February.
Yeah.
For a while, and now we don't know what could have been.
Right. But like I said, we
But
do
we
have
do
quite
know
the
there was
legacy that
always
is left
something
behind.
good.
Yeah.
And he gave us nine. We had about 9 years. I believe it was 2014. He made his debut onto the main roster when he debuted with the Wyatt family. Technically, he made
was
his
Husky
main
Harris
Husky
with
Harris with
with the new
Nexus.
Nexus.
Yeah, so that was his official debut, but as a Wyatt character, it was August. He did a little bit. He did some work in NXT with the Wyatt family.
Yeah.
And then you got that. So I wasn't really watching NXT at that time. So when I saw these vignettes that was happening in the early summer of 2014, I'm like, oh, this is interesting. What is this? And we started getting vignettes of them in the woods and the chair and what have you. So it was all brand spanking new to me when their main roster debuted together.
And you had a lot of Dusty influence there. That was around that time that Dusty was, down there in the performance center and doing all the training with the promos, and so you could definitely tell, the influence that Dusty Rhodes had on that whole entire faction. And not to mention, the Wyatt family bringing in Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, or Brody Lee, Luke Harper, and then again, just that's another tag team that had tons of great matches, and just giving us a fresh faction when we definitely needed it. And again, you were able to plug in the Wyatt family with any any babyface that was over. Whether it was John Cena at the time, Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan had a great feud with the Wyatt family. You had the Wyatt family versus the Usos, Wyatt family versus the New Day. You know, it was just like a whole bunch of great feuds throughout that run. Um, and then, we have Bray Wyatt, coming into his own a little bit when we had the brand split again. And he was over at I believe it was SmackDown. I want to say SmackDown. And that was when right before he had his first WWE championship, which I believe he won at Elimination Chamber. And that set up a feud with Randy Orton. When Randy Orton very shortly joined the Wyatt family, Bray Wyatt had the belt, and then I think it was WrestleMania that Randy Orton won.
You remember that time Daniel Bryan was part of the Wyatt family?
Yeah, he had like the overalls, like the custodian overalls.
Let me tell you, Daniel Bryan did the best he could, and WWE was going to continue with Daniel Bryan being in the Wyatt family through WrestleMania 30.
Yeah.
But the fans spoke so loud. Yep. Like the WWE Universe made their voice heard, and Daniel Bryan eventually, they, as we know, turned him face, and they got him in the program with for the WWE title.
That's right.
But that was pretty interesting. Not to mention we had Braun Strowman as part of the Wyatt family.
That's right.
Yeah, and he debuted at I'm pretty sure it was at the show I was at SummerSlam. But yeah, we got some comments pouring in. J Diaz very surprised with the news about Bray, such a creative talent gone too soon. Yes, gone way too soon.
36 years old.
Yeah, you know, I have no words. I can't figure this stuff out sometimes.
Yeah, man.
But so Bray Wyatt's done a lot of creative stuff. One of the greatest talents. We've seen him in really, really good moments and feuds with the Shield, Wyatt family versus Shield. I think you could chase back to Elimination Chamber. I want to say like maybe 2013, if I'm not mistaken. Then you had Bray Wyatt in that match against The Undertaker.
Yeah.
His first big WrestleMania match was actually technically the year before against John Cena.
Right.
And we saw
that was after there was the first WrestleMania match after the streak was broken. It was Undertaker versus Bray Wyatt right after Undertaker versus Brock Lesnar.
Yep.
So this is fresh off of the streak is broken. Now it's about who's the new face of fear, and then that was, I believe that was the outdoors one in San Francisco.
Yep. Silicon Valley, WrestleMania 31.
Yeah. And so,
yeah.
And it was a decent match. It was daytime, and so like some of like the stuff that it would have been better if it was dark. I remember thinking that, but overall, it was one of those things where you have the Undertaker rub. Sure, Undertaker went over in the match, but like, it's clear like okay, they're trusting you with the legacy of being that face of fear, that horror theme, that scary theme, but it's a great thing to have, like I said, for your baby faces who are over to be able to be in a feud with someone who's reliable, creative, and will give everything to that content. Like that type of performer is invaluable.
Yeah. You've gotten to see Bray Wyatt in person a couple times, right?
A few times, yeah.
I mean, I know I can vouch for you for sure. When it was in Nassau Coliseum Raw.
Yep, it was a dark match.
It was a dark match, yeah.
But it was a crazy good cage match.
It was a cage match. The red lights, the red cage came down.
Yeah.
And it was Seth Rollins, Bray
Wyatt
went
for like 20 minutes.
No.
Didn't they go for 20 minutes? Oh, no. You know what I'm thinking
of? Bray Wyatt squashed Seth Rollins in 5 minutes.
You're right. You know what I'm thinking of? I'm thinking of the next time I went, it was a dark match between who had just come back. It was Seth Rollins versus, it wasn't Cody Rhodes. Maybe it was Cody Rhodes. I think it was Cody Rhodes. It was a dark match for sure, and it was like getting ready for their pay-per-view. But anyway, I know we wanted to talk about Bray Wyatt, but yes, you're right. Nassau Coliseum, they put down the cage. It was the Fiend Bray Wyatt, and you're right. It was like 5 minutes.
I think that was the only time I saw the Fiend in person. I can't really think right now. I'd
Yeah,
have to trace back to the events I may have gone to before that. I've got to be part of the Fireflies
Fireflies.
entrance many times. I've seen Bray Wyatt in person as that character. Yeah, I mean, listen, there's really no words. All I know is that this this year, even last night, the passing of Terry Funk, but this big differences there.
Right.
Terry Funk had a surprisingly long life considering the wear and tear that he put himself through all these years. And and like you said earlier before we went on the air, he went out on his own terms. But Bray Wyatt, he doesn't. Gone way too soon. He leaves his ex-wife behind, his kids, JoJo, who he was going to get married to probably this year or next, and their kid. So it's just sad, but there's so many good memories and lasting impressions he left us, whether they were great or whether they didn't come out good. But everything he did always left some kind of a lasting impression that we could always trace back to. And he's just one of those characters where you think back and you could think of all the different memories and feuds that he's had. And like I said, I'll always love the Firefly Funhouse. I looked forward to that promo every single week. I'm not gonna lie, the puppets, that was great.
Even
He's
like
just a
the
creative
build up for it.
genius.
The build up for it, you saw like little characters here and there throughout the weeks. I think there was like maybe like 2 months worth of build up until they finally like revealed the Firefly Funhouse. And then they had the Funhouse match with John Cena at the Pandemic WrestleMania.
That was so well done. The
Yeah,
cinematic was so well done. Bray Wyatt basically went over on that. Um,
between
all
that
the
match and
that
the other
couldn't
match
go
that I
bad.
really liked that year was the or was it the same year as the AJ Styles Undertaker? I want to say maybe.
Yes, I want to say yes, but
Oh,
2 different nights.
but 2 different nights, yeah. But
Yeah,
anyway, like that was like I was not really a big fan of the cinematic movie matches, but then that one match with John Cena, that was really cool because then you got to see again, you see Bray Wyatt's creativity just bursting at the seams throughout the whole match, like all the Easter eggs, all the different throwbacks to different things, and you see John Cena being able to use his acting chops in a way where he's like, yeah, let me bring some of the skills that I now have as an actor, let's bring that to sports entertainment, and you get this really cool, unique match. And especially at a time where we needed that type of content, during the pandemic where you don't have a crowd to react to anything they're seeing. So let's give them cinema.
for sure. I don't know if cinema was always the plan for either one of those matches or both of them. I don't know if that was the plan because
Yeah,
everything shut down just 3 weeks before Mania.
right.
And so that being said, I mean, they had to whip up something quick, especially if for
Yeah,
not one of them for both. Maybe they had the cinema planned the whole time for Cena and Bray Wyatt.
maybe.
Maybe
Yeah,
that was always planned. I just don't know. That
yeah,
could have very well been done on short notice. But either way, it was freaking amusing, and I want to go back and watch it now.
yeah.
Um, but anyway, we're not going to be long here. But Bray Wyatt has left us, so many memories that we can, talk about, and we just wanted to hop on tonight just to kind of, kind of show honor and appreciation and just leave an open forum for you guys. If you guys want to drop any comments, feel free. Before we go off the air, we'll address them. But we just kind of wanted to leave an open forum to talk about it with you guys. But like I said earlier in the show, you know, you never know when you never know the person you're talking to is their last day or not. We're not guaranteed another day. So, you know, this is just a lesson for us all as a wrestling community. You know, love on your fellow fans. Um, you know, we all have differences, religious differences, political differences, and so on. But we have wrestling as a common ground. And wrestling, in a way, unites a lot of people. It's a conversation starter when you see people wearing t-shirts in the stores. Hey, I'm a wrestling fan. How are you? You never know who you're gonna meet. So wrestling, being a fan of wrestling has a big following. Um, can unite in a lot of ways. So just, you know, love on your fellow wrestling fans. Love on your family. And make sure I love all you guys. I love you, Joe. And I love all you guys. And I'm definitely grateful for the people that I have in my life. I'm grateful for the people that I run into. So sometimes, you know, we get so caught up in everyday busy life, but in the end, I am truly grateful for my friends, the wrestling community, my church community, that there's always somewhere to be involved in and connect, and you need that. So it's always important for you, those of you guys that are watching. It's important to be connected in a community and of some sort, and just you know, be more intentional with your friends and your family. Tell them you love them, and you know, we're never guaranteed a day. So I always say, just make the best of it. You know.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said, man. You know, and I will say one lesson that we can learn from someone like Bray Wyatt is to believe in yourself, because think about how creative that he was, how artistic he was with his work. You know, that's what allowed him to really stand out, right? And if obviously we're not all wrestlers, I'm not a wrestler, but whatever it is that you do have in your life that you do put yourself into, like, believe in it, do it, you know, and let your creativity flow. You know, Bray Wyatt wasn't always booked in a way that allowed his creativity to flow, and he was very much stifled by, you know, awkward booking or booking that wasn't favorable to him and his career. But he uh, was able to produce and really show everybody, you know, what he's capable of, and that's something that, you know, that's the legacy that he'll be able to leave behind. Quality wrestling was you know, as Triple H said, lifetime, you know, in this business, to be able to leave behind such positive memories and positive, you know, comments and stories and memories that he's had with so many people. You know, when something like this does happen, it does, like I said, it brings us all together. And so, you know, just one of those things, man.
Awesome. Well, Joe, I just want to thank you for taking the time to hop on. We're gonna wrap it up here, but guys, do not go away. We've done this before for past stars, and we're gonna do this for Bray Wyatt. Just a moment of silence. Just stick with us, and then we're gonna go off the air immediately. And hope you guys all have a wonderful night.